Hello and welcome to our Unscripted Valorie Renee and Shawn Sykora Astrology Energy Fun Talk. Today is September 16th, 2022. We thank you for joining us here live on the call or on the replay. And here with me is astrologer Shawn Sykora.
Hey, people. Hi, Valerie. Here's wonderful Valerie.
Hi, Shawn. And I'm Valerie. I am a Reiki teacher and practitioner.
Master.
Energy enthusiast and light worker. So we're happy to have you here. I'm happy to be here, Shawn, with you.
Yes, this is great. We're having fun. As you can tell, we're giggling and we had fun, and now we'll try to have fun for everybody listening and watching.
So I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
And normally, my starting question is normally, what's up today? But before we get to that,
okay.
What is your favorite sign of the zodiac?
Oh, that is a question that comes up with new students because they want to know what's good and bad and what's blah, blah, blah. It's all very complicated. And depending on what sign you're in, you might have certain strong opinions for other signs, but never judge a sign by its sign because it's a lot. It's like, do you like cake? And like some people are like, well, I like carrot cake, but I don't like that sweet wedding cake. And other people are like, I love that sweet wedding cake. It's got the better frosting. Oh, it's so good. Or, like German culture, they have the walnut cake, and there's all kinds of cake. There's all kinds of signs, and there's all kinds of types of signs. Leo is ruled by the sun, so it's always ruled by the sun. But all the other signs, they're ruled by a planet or the moon, but we just call them planets generically. They can be in any sign. So there's a style, vibration, and combination right off the bat, unless you're a Leo you could have your planet in a sign that rules. Like if you're a Cancer and your moon's in Cancer, then you're a Cancer moon, Cancer ruling the sun in Cancer. But if the moon's in a different sign, it's like your sun's in Cancer, but it's ruled by the moon in a different sign, as an example. So to just pick out a sign, what's your favorite sign or whatever, it's silly to me. I'm very yin yang. I like everything. I think there's pluses and minuses and everything. So that's my really short answer on infinity. So
Infinity, I love it. And one of our listeners wrote in, and
she put me on the spot. My favorite sign. What's your favorite cake? What's your favorite cake? Tell me the one you like the most.
My favorite cake?
Yeah. And over time, does it change, or has it always been the same cake?
You know what? You're right, because I love carrot cake, but I love red velvet cake. I love chocolate cake.
Maybe we have a sweet tooth.
And I love Tara's pistachio cake. It is the bomb. And I'm so glad I tried it.
Wow.
Just amazing cake. You're right. There's so many different flavors of cake, just like there's so many different flavors of the aspects of personalities.
And again, even if you have your favorite grandmother's recipe or grandfather's or whatever, for a certain cake, each time you make it, the transits and everything's different. You might have a little more salt or a little less salt or more sugar. It's like, oh, it came out too sweet this time, or, oh, it's really perfect this time. It's extra sweet and I like it extra, or whatever. Things are always changing. That's the constant, is change, and all the planets, everything's moving in a different combination. And, especially our Western yes or no, or good or bad, or here's the answer. It's like, maybe today it's the answer, and some people, you ask them, what's your favorite cake? And you're like, it's carrot cake. But then in a week or a month or a year or a decade, you're like, I don't like cake anymore. I like pie, some people always, or like a different cake, or, so that's the way I look at life. But Aquarians are changing the zigzag sign, the equal sign with the angles. It's like you get into something else. So air is kind of mutable, because the first air sign's Mercury, is Gemini with Mercury, which is very mutable. So It's easy
Well,
for an air sign to go, yeah, this one or that one, or maybe later, or we don't like to be stuck. It's hard for, I'm always talking about journaling to empower yourself and notice and working with the calendar and stuff like that. Air signs usually don't like to write things down because it's not floating in the air in conversation. It's written down and becomes tactile or grounded earth, which is very powerful. But for an air sign, it's like, I don't want to write that down because it might change, so,
ah,
so,
interesting.
yeah.
Well, and just so also just like the astrology, if somebody's got their birth sign, their whole makeup on their chart includes other aspects. And then I think what you were also saying is depending on the day,
And the time
those
of day and
aspects,
the
yeah, what would be coming
location.
out would be different. So like that amazing pistachio cake that my friend Tara makes has a lemon mascarpone frosting.
Ooh,
Mascarpone. But oh my gosh,
almondy.
so good. Oh
Yeah.
yes. I need a holiday to order one.
And then you could have a bad aspect and maybe their child's helping them bake, and when she's not looking, they pour too much salt in, and then it's like comes out horrible. And like, I hate this cake, even though it's my favorite, so
Oh,
you know. Who
oh,
could tell? I mean, everybody wants everything to be perfect. And, that's one of the things they use for astrology. Like, it's never 100% correct. It's like, well, can you name me anything that is 100% correct? It's like, but there's a special double standard for astrology. Oh, you are 100% correct every second. It's like, oh, so there were human factors involved. And that's pretty much how life is, right? But whatever, these are the different levels of astrology when you get into it. And yeah, that's a comment. What's the best sign, or what's the sign you hate the most, or what's the best whatever? It's like, it's a combo. It's like you could have one thing that's really good, but all these other things that are really challenging. And that's why I try to say challenging, and learning our life path and growth and all that stuff is a good food for growth that hopefully, and we all have that stuff, it's different challenges. And then the other one is the grass is greener on the other side. Everyone's like, oh, I want your chart. And that's another common thing with newer students. They're like, oh, I want your chart. I don't want my chart. I don't like my chart. I like your chart. And it's like, yeah, but you start talking to them, or you look at their chart deeply, and you're like, oh, you got some nasty stuff you have to deal with. And I think we fit our charts, and it's challenging, and some are horrible. People go through horrible stuff. Some people's lives are easier, but it's whatever, if you want to get all metaphysical, our soul's journey, what we're supposed to learn in this lifetime with this birth chart, they kind of go hand in hand, because that's how it came out. I mean, that's
right.
metaphysics, or the work of God, or the universe, or whatever you want to call it. It's like, here's what you got. It's like,
Right. And it's said that we pick, on a soul level, we pick our parents, we pick the time of our birth, all these
right,
influences come
right.
in. So then we get this birth chart or these life experiences that are very challenging, but that was all part of the planned growth. Those are all
Yeah.
growth opportunities.
Yeah. Another thing I realized was, you can get angry at people because another thing we were talking about before we started filming was everything's different. People do different things. Even if you, like my example was like, even if you grew up next door to someone and you ended up marrying them, and you even went to the same church or the same whatever, and you had all these common things, but the households would be different, and everybody might argue about what's the classic toothpaste or the toilet roll or whatever. It's like the way we do things. It's just, you're not going to match. You're all unique. Even if you've got the same set of rules from your fellowship and from your neighborhood and the clan or the style of the area you live in. And, you all had to deal with tornadoes, or you all had to deal with earthquakes, or all had to deal with whatever, the extreme winters or whatever. It's like people deal with stuff differently. And then you change, and over time you might do things differently from experience, or just you get old and tired, and maybe you don't do as much intense stuff as you used to, or whatever. Things are changing constantly. I wish people, people forget history, and it's amazing. And anyways, you get the
So,
idea.
yes. So let's begin again in this moment. We're going to pause, and if you're driving, do not close your eyes. But if you're listening and you want to close your eyes just for a few moments, you're just going to breathe into our hearts. So Taking a breath, eyes open or closed, and just let that breath go. And now as you take your next breath, breathe and put your attention, your focus into your heart center as you breathe. So breathing into your heart and releasing the breath. And then another breath, focusing in the heart center. Let your whole chest cavity expand and release. And now with this third focused breath into the heart center, just open your heart and say yes. Yes to the universe, yes to your soul, yes to whatever this moment is going to bring you in love and light. And let that go. And then opening your eyes and coming back, heart aligned and ready to go. So Shawn,
Yes.
what is the first thing in your mind in this moment?
What's
come back?
happening? Oh, I've been thinking about today is the sun opposite Neptune. So I thought I'd share a few things. Get out the old calendar. Is it okay to share here?
Yes.
Okay.
So sun opposite Neptune. So for a moment, tell me, what is Neptune's significance? What does Neptune rule or influence?
It's a big thing. And for those listening and not visual, that basically 180 degrees opposite the sun is Neptune. The sun's at 23 degrees Virgo in 53 minutes, and Neptune's at 24 degrees 1 minute of Pisces. So the sun will catch up to Neptune to oppose it and match at 24 degrees. Anyways, that's a whole, they use the term transcendental for Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Those are outer, huge society changes, influences. They move slower, and the change happens over a longer period of time as it goes through a sign. And it can mean anything. I mean, Neptune's like the trident of sea gods, and representing the ocean. On the top it can look calm, or it can be deadly storm, and you're like, oh, it's the ocean. But underneath, like Ben Franklin, he did the temperatures and he figured out the tides. There's all this underneath things you can't see. There's a whole nother universe. Some people remark about, we go out in space and look, but we don't know much about our ocean space, and there's so much to learn. And they use it for training to go to space, the pressures and the elements. And there's just so much that you can't see. And when you look, if you have a clear day, you can really, if you see at the beach, you can see the arc of the ocean. So it's massive. Pisces, I wanted to talk about that. One of the cookie cutter things is sun opposite Neptune is rose-colored glasses, which is an old phrase of saying, they're like, oh, it's just all good and nice, or they're not being, they're not doing it's interesting with the opposite, because Neptune's in its own side of Pisces, and the opposite is Virgo, and that's the devil's in the detail masters. But always, it's like these parallels are connected. The Virgo needs all the nice paintbrushes and all the paints and the easel anyways, all the tools. And then Pisces is like the image of the dream, or the dream world. And I wanted to talk about being proactive too, where, you can be, old style is like, be afraid, or all this negative stuff. It's like, direct the energy, just be aware of it and work with it. Like we were talking about all these cakes. It's like, you got a recipe you're going to follow it, but maybe change it, or have the intention of like, well, I've got to have a hot oven, and I got all this bakery stuff. Why don't I focus and do something nice with it? And again, all these aspects we talk about, just try to channel in and recognize a part of you and your path or what you're working on. And when you hear these energies described, it's like, work with it, be proactive, and guide yourself to what you want. Kind of like when you guide us in these meditations or these focus energy things. It's like, well, the world's all chaotic, we could freak out, or why don't we like breathe and think about love and be calm and work on ourselves and direct it. Use time to direct things that we can, and other times, if we can't direct it, not to be defeatist, but go with the flow, but understand there's for certain specifics and keep that in mind how to work it. Like different sports teams, they'll deal with different teams because they'll have strengths and weaknesses. It's like, see how you can work the situation, or different social people, some people are like gregarious and might be hard to talk, get a word in. Other people are really introvert and quiet. You might talk more to make it a little more conversation and just try to be proactive. So that's what, especially in Pisces, Neptune's in its own sign. It's like dreaming and imagining or going to a museum. I was looking, I think it was 1846 when Neptune was discovered, and I think that's on record the first time they used ether in a dentist, to put you under the gas to like not have pain, and you have laughing. They call it laughing gas, is the slang term. You laugh and it's like, oh, they're drilling my mouth open. This is so funny. I don't even care because I have Neptune energy. So that's where you could be ignoring stuff, but sometimes that's good. Or it could be deep meditation and going to another world, or analyzing your dreams, or again, like a general rule for Pisces is they're so receptive. There's so much information. Take time to take a hot bath, or walk in the grass, or go to a museum, or find, at least have a picture or something, whether it's on your wall or just you have a bookmarked favorite thing you like to look at, or drone footage now of anywhere you want to visit, but get some kind of Piscean energy, some kind of vision, and be proactive, but and guide your vision. Like we say, what you want to do in your life, you got to have a vision. And that kind of ties in with the Sag, the mutable signs I want to talk about, the X. Sag does a goal. And here, so we have all this mutable energy right now. We have Neptune in Pisces, and it's 24, like I said, it's later degrees. The sun's about to pose it. Venus is coming up. It's at 14 Virgo right now. And then it's squaring also today or tomorrow Mars. It's catching up to, it's just about, as you look, it's like 1423 and 1424. So it might already happen. I forget which one. Anyways, it's happening now. It's within a minute. I mean, we're so, with computers, like it's within a minute. If people understand, like a circle's got 360 degrees, and within that degree, there's 60 minutes. It's like we're talking about 1 minute of 1 degree, 1/60th of one. It's like 30 out of 3,600 points in the wheel. We're talking about one little bitty point. So
magic moment.
Yes.
We're in a magic moment.
So yeah, we hit it. That's why we started when we did. So we'd have that thing. So that's kind of a challenge. The Mars and Venus squaring, that's an interesting time too, because Mars is like the action, masculine, aggressive, do it, or the Scorpio, deep emotions. And then for the night kind of chart people talk about, and then Venus is the Taurus energy of what you want and it's mine, or the Libra energy of, balance and beauty and harmony and strategy. But right now, Venus is in Virgo, which is Mercury's sign, and Mercury's retrograde, but it's in Libra, so they're mutually receptive. They're kind of tied in together. Again, looking at the chart, they're in each other's signs. And then also Mercury's also ruling Mars in the other sign. So that's like, I don't know if I'm jumping around too much, but here's the Neptune's in Pisces, opposite is the Sun and Venus in Virgo. And then down here in Gemini today, we have the moon's in Gemini coming up, and Mars is in Gemini at 14 too. So the 14 is squaring the Venus. So when you look at that, there's a lot of mutable energy, and that's a lot of talking. The first mutable sign is Gemini. That's an air sign, flexible. And Mercury and Jupiter are the rulers of the mutable signs, and they're like the last ending transition sign going into the next season, if you look at it from that kind of perspective of the times of the year. And whenever we have a nice cross like that, a T square, we look to see how we'd fill in the cross, and everything's pointing to Sag. So again, Sag is really good at aiming and heading for a goal or having belief. So it's a great time. All these energies, they're scattered and they're blah, 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 blah. Gemini is all happy talking. Virgo's picking the details, and Neptune and Pisces, like, it's infinite, man. There's so much going on. We don't know what to think or what, you got to try to pick out what you want. So it's pointing to Sag. There's nothing in Sag right now, at least these are the basic planets I'm using right now. So it's good to have a goal, think, take time and imagine, picture, and view yourself in the surroundings you want, achieving the goals you want. I've been hearing neat stuff from younger kids I'm watching is, the way you change the future and become something is you just think in the now that you're doing it. And I've kind of heard that said in other ways in years past, but now it seems like there's more people are getting more connected on this and more proactive, I think. And so anyways, picture and live it now and just have that thought of it being there instead of like, that's my goal. It's like, this is, so you're kind of creating the future by living in the now. I'm
Right?
still working on explaining it, but I've heard some like really nice descriptions. So I'll
Oh,
work on that.
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
it's that instead of it being away and coming,
You're
I
right.
embody it now,
Right.
and that will speed up it
Right.
becoming
And, yeah,
physical
and
manifestation.
there's, there was another old one is, fake it till you make it. It's like, just do it. You hear stories like, Spielberg is a great one, like, oh, he's great. It's this great guy. It's like, well, he just snuck onto a lot and he found a room, some closet, and he cleaned it out and made it like he was a producer in his own room. And he just, he was on the set and he watched stuff and somehow he finagled it and got it going. Or Steve Jobs, it's like he started this empire in his buddy's garage, or his family's garage, whatever. It's like, this is crazy. But they didn't say we don't know what you were doing and just help us. They just act like you belong and just work it. And if you're driven to it and you have a passion, just go with it and don't let it stop you. And
Well, and a key component of that too is connecting in your heart, right? Connecting and knowing who you are and that this is important. I'm going for it.
right.
Right. And holding that alive. So even though there's other responsibilities or things that are demanding time, you keep that alive in your heart, that dream and that passion, and you make time for it each day and you connect in your heart to energize it and to
Yeah.
stay connected to your purpose.
Keep the goal. And that's, yeah, a lot of people, they'll write out the goal or have pictures or both.
The vision boards.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
have it somewhere you're always looking at it. So again, every day or have a ceremony or rehearsal. What do you call it?
And just
You know,
acknowledging, well, you just acknowledge even
yeah, but
whether
every
you
day
do
focus that this is my goal, this is what I'm heading for, and
visualization.
I'm doing what steps am I doing that are going towards that goal and make those priorities. We do those first.
Keep it alive. Yes. What's the next step? Okay, what's today's step
Right.
in
And
creating this now?
right. And all this Virgo, like Venus is in Virgo, it's like it's all negative. It's not the way I like it. It's like, that's okay. Do a step. Yeah. What's the next step? And don't worry about perfection. That feels procrastination. Don't worry, just do one step and break it down, truncate it, find little bitty steps. Don't make it a huge impossible goal, make it partial or whatever. And don't beat yourself up, just learn from it and keep growing. Again, I
Right.
mentioned this before of, it's okay. Just keep working it and things will
Well,
happen.
right. And sometimes energy moves faster than others, depending on the aspects. Sometimes, you know,
Yeah.
in a
Well,
full
there's
moon or a new moon, the energy might be different. If it's directly in your sign and affecting you, it will activate different areas of your own chart. And it may
right.
feel like we're not moving, but just like a retrograde period for any aspect, there's still movement. It's not backwards. It just
Yeah.
appears to be backwards. And that may be the time of working out details or
Right.
refining your whole plan. Other inspiration might come in that then can turn it into something even greater.
Yeah. Or even to get all astrological, if you have a bad aspect or this isn't positive to achieve something, but maybe you'll witness somebody else doing it, or maybe you're failing or not making complete, will teach you a step or appreciate a step to make the next step, or just help your gestation of the situation and grow and become more adept and more experienced. I mean, that's how we learn. People, again, they're like, oh, Steve Jobs, you just made this happen. It's like, you find out it's like everything was, near death of the company and struggling and all this stuff. And all these people, everyone thinks, oh, I didn't pay attention and now they're famous and it was just easy. It's like, no, they worked really hard. And I always laugh. It's like, you could do your own business at part-time, 20 hours a month, and you could make, it's like, you can't, you got to get into it. You got to have passion, and it takes over your life to do stuff. You can't just like, oh, just kind of part-time be in charge of a company. It's like, you're gonna get into it, and that's kind of how it works. So yeah, pick something you're passionate in and keep focused, and even if you have another job and commitment, you're locked into something, whatever you're trying to grow and start, do a little bit, get up a little early in the morning, or find a block at night or at lunchtime or whatever, find some area, even if it's 5 minutes, you can starting, and it'll grow from there, and once you break that habit or start a new habit, that's another trick about habits. If you can do it for a month, full moon cycle, you're supposed to lock it in. But that's all of us are busy. It's like try to find a new habit. You really have to get into it in the beginning to make it a daily kind of thing,
And keep at it. And then you start to see the results, and then the results motivate you, right? Or the progress, what feels like progress. But just be open in periods that feel like there's no movement or there's no progress, or you're not seeing what you want to see. You make that time to connect your heart, connect with your soul, with however you define God and universe, the light and love, and just say, what now? What next? Ask those questions. And it's okay if you don't immediately have a sense of an answer, because the information will come. You're mere asking and saying, tell me or show me what's next, means it's there and you're going to see it.
The practice of just becoming aware enough to see it, asking to see it or keep focusing it. It's like the old, you're thinking of a certain car or a certain product, all of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere because you're thinking about it, you're focusing on it. So if you're looking for answers, you keep focusing on getting answers, and your brain will work it out, or the cosmos or God or whatever you want to call it. It's like you keep it on your mind, it's going to show up. It will. Yeah. I don't know exactly how, but dream.
Some people get it in dreams. If they're dreaming, they wake up, or just the aha moment all of a sudden.
Yeah. And again, the Neptune and Pisces, people can go negative. I remember someone, I never forget this. They had Neptune in their fourth house, which is like your home and your house. And this person goes, this astrologer told me I'm going to lose my house because Neptune's on my fourth house. I'm going to lose my house. I'm like, well, let's think of another one. It's like, have you painted your house at all recently or anything, or changed the motif or the dressing or the style, Well, we did just completely, refurnish the front porch and we painted it all. And it's all different. Does it all look different now? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, that was Neptune on your fourth house. The facade or the paint job or the adornment or whatever. That's another thing. The perception. It's like a movie set or a play set. You can add color or change props, and it just changed the whole personality of the room. That's, again, at Pisces, Neptune, it's like you can't touch it. It's like the fog. It's opaque. You might not see clearly through it, but there's something there. Or just, it's like they'll put gels on lights in movies and it'll change the tint, or our screens, we have these colorful things behind us. We could change it, and all of a sudden it could be completely, I could see if I can go, oh, it's just gray. Oh, I have layers. So there's all these layers, and again, look in life and pick and choose and try to find the combo that makes you the happiest or gets you to where you're headed, see what happens. Right. Like we're working on our lighting.
I know. And working on getting lighting set up for today. I was acutely aware that our last day show was a month ago, and the shows we've had have been evening, and it's already getting dark in the evening. Earlier in the summer, we still had daylight at 8 o'clock. And so,
right.
Yeah, this morning, I just, it was like, wow. So just that reminder that things are constantly changing. The light is constantly changing. The sun is always in a few different degrees than it was yesterday. So that's why, it's like, I thought I had worked out my daytime light. But things are always changing, and that's why it's important to adapt. You said something I want to come back to, Shawn.
Okay.
You were talking about something about truth, and
it's not true.
But it reminded me, and it made me want to bring in just the reminder to when we're taking in information. Oh, the astrologer the person saying, I'm going to lose my house.
Right.
Right? Is when
Here it comes. Tidal wave.
When people are telling you things,
Right.
it could be a reading, it could just be a friend or a boss or just somebody interjecting an opinion or
Right.
a viewpoint
Right.
about things. Is as we take in information, the importance to just feel it in your heart, feel it in your gut, and ask if there's any like fear around it. Oh no, this is going to happen. Oh
Right.
no, be
Right.
careful. Is stop and feel it and say, is that true? Does that resonate as truth for me?
Yeah. Or
Um,
again, to be proactive, like with the energy, it's like, oh no, Neptune's on my house. It's like, well, you want to make your house prettier? Do you like paint, or do you want to just even moving the furniture? People into feng shui, just move this around or get rid of some clutter. It just changes the energy. It's like, be proactive, do what you can,
oh,
and
right.
think about the situations like, oh, my house. It's like, well, what don't you like about your house? Well, they didn't like the color and they painted it and they did the energy, or something.
Work
Even
the
no
energy.
one, most
Exactly.
astrologers, they won't want to predict death or anything, but you look at certain actors charts like, oh my God, this looks really precarious. And then they'll have a movie role where they died, the character died. So they play the energy out, it's like,
Exactly.
you know, or there's a
That's
famous, I forget the name of the astrologer, but there's a famous tale that he's got all the students around the campfire and he's working with one of the students' charts, and he looks, he goes, oh man, and he picks up a burning log and he hits the student with it. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, well, you were going to get hit by a meteor, or I could have hit you with the burning log. That wouldn't kill you, so I hit you with the burning log, so it wasn't bad. And I'm not telling you that I've ever done that. I probably wouldn't do that, but maybe I'll make a picture of a burning log and hit him with. I don't know, but that's kind of extreme, but that's an example of like, we'll do the energy proactively in your way. And, look at it as a catalyst for your journey. It's like, okay, I got this strong energy. That's why like squares, people are like, oh, it's squares, it's horrible. It's like, well, squares make you do stuff. It's like, it's good you do stuff. The cardinal signs are all about
right.
squares and oppositions and conjunctions. It's like, that's how you get stuff done. Praise be the cardinal signs. I don't have a lot of cardinal in my chart, so it's like, it's really good for me to work with people to get things started. I got all
Mm,
this fixed. I'll finish it. Immutable, I can talk about it and transition and all that, but everybody's chart, I'm not a huge starter, but I could finish, so I can start
right.
stuff, but it's not my forte. Some people they just, in Aries, they're just like, they just do stuff. It's like, I just did it. It's like, wow.
So I want to come back to the mutability, Shawn. When you had the chart up and you were talking about all the
Yeah.
aspects that are mutable right now,
Right.
just in general, it's a general question. In this time with this mutability, so many aspects, how does that affect someone like me who's very fixed? I'm guessing I
Right.
can tap into more mutability right now to make this change and recreation, to rebirth myself type thing, right? Or a
Yeah.
vision. I have a project and I want to move this project forward. And I'm seeing it's fixed. I've got this and I'm needing that little extra push or inspiration. So with all this
Mhm.
mutable aspects, with all these mutable aspects, can I tap into that
Yeah, sure.
to make my, to use that energy, as you're saying, use that
That's just
energy to move past my fixedness,
fixity, yeah, or fixedness or whatever, yeah.
fixedness.
Yeah. Well, the first mutable sign is Gemini, and that's Mercury, mercurial. It's an air sign. So talking about it, discussing it, that's a good way to do it, writing things down. The Virgos work in the details. The Pisces is imagining and picturing and viewing, and the Sagittarius too, is more like a goal and a target and intense study, and envisioning yourself as like we talked about, doing it, thinking in the now that you're that, but
Hmm.
the fixed, yeah, one of the things, especially like Scorpio's very fixed and they don't like to let go, or some of the, well, lots of different sides. Cancer can be clingy too, or Taurus. But one trick is like pick up something and release it. It's like, I release this, pick up a pencil or a rock or whatever and drop it. It's just like the mutability is releasable. It's transition. We have three three crosses. That's where the cross comes from, is from astrology. But I don't want to get all the religious people telling me I'm blasphemy. But there's three sets of four, and those are the modality. There's cardinal, fixed, and mutable. Cardinal, Aries, Libra, and Capricorn. Oh, I can't see. Capricorn and Cancer is a cross, and then the fixed signs, Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius, Leo. That's a cross. And then the mutable signs we're talking about, where we have Gemini facing off to the empty Sag with the Neptune in Pisces, and the Virgo. It's got the Sun and Venus. So that's like the signs after fixed. So they're going to be one sign away, or they're going to be, let's see, we'll take the fixed. Like if we go Taurus, so this is one sign away. That's what you value. So if you're Taurus, you're going to value communication, and the Virgo is a trine. So it's really good to work out the details. And then the Sag that's an inconjunct. So that might be, it'll seem worse than it is, but you could learn some stuff. And that's a challenge for Taurus. They kind of know what they know, and it's to be open to new stuff. So with the Sag energy, try to learn something new, studies. And then with the Pisces, that's two signs back. So that's like an Aquarius, friends and hopes and wishes and dreams. So that's a good way to work on that. If you're a Leo, you value the details and thinking out how to plan and try to make it really nice. So you want to work on that. And then it's a trine to Sag. So that's really easy to learn stuff, or go on an adventure, or talk to foreign people, or go somewhere new and different. I like the foreign food if we want to mix in the Taurus food thing. And then let's see, then the next mutable is the Pisces. That's the inconjunct for Leo. So that's like, I think Leo, the king, wants to know what is, but in the Pisces can be unsure, or it's kind of foggy, or you're not sure, it's an inconjunct. You got to make adjustments. Maybe you redecorate again, or change, the king's new clothes, get some new clothes, and hopefully they're not invisible fake clothes or whatever. And then Gemini is the friendship thing. So maybe connect with your siblings or people in your neighborhood, and or talk to your car. I don't know.
Whole family.
Yeah. Should I keep going? Is this taking too long, or
you were on Leo, right?
Yeah. So,
okay,
the other fixed sign. So we're on Scorpio now. It values Sag. That's the things that, the next sign does things that is different. So that's, whoops. I always freak out when it resets the time.
For anyone listening and hearing the oops, it's just that the transit calendar wheel keeps resetting, and so it keeps the chart keeps disappearing as Shawn's pointing to it.
And I have two daughters. When they were little, they did all these cute little oops and uh-oh, and now I have granddaughter. It's like, oops, oh. I'm kind of stuck in happy grandparent daughter land. So that's, work on this, work on the direction, what you're aiming for, and goals and learning. And then the Pisces is the trine for the Scorpio. So very much your dreams are occult, things you can't see, or ceremonies or whatever the Scorpio's into. It's like, use vision powers, or maybe, smudging or whatever, smoke, or clear the air, and work with that Pisces stuff, because that's a trine. That's really easy. And those are things, trines are like things we forget, or we can't, it's like you can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket. And I'm not telling people to go buy tickets, but it's like, trines are like, you gotta do something, but it might seem so easy, or might not occur to you. It's like, it's so simple. And it's like, well, if you want to find $10 on the street, you got to look down every once in a while. You can't just walk up with your nose in the air like, I don't need any money. It's like, you're looking. So that's the trine. And then the inconjunct is the Gemini. That's very challenging. That what is that? That's it's a ninth house to the ninth house, or eighth house to the eighth house. That's one of the interesting combinations of people have a Scorpio and Gemini. It's like Scorpio is very intense and wants to be in control, and on a need to know basis, and very lots of rules people need to follow. Think of the Godfather roughly. That's one way to look at it. And then Gemini is all laid back, like kids, like having fun, playing around. So that's the got to make some adjustments and try to talk about things openly, or at least think of some subjects you could talk about without worrying about, I shouldn't have told them that, talk about stuff it doesn't matter. That might free up some energy and psychologically just loosen you up, so talk with people, talk with kids or talk with relatives or just friends that are, not too serious all the time, or have fun with the topics, not too serious. And then the Virgo is a 10th house relationship to the Scorpio. So that's friends that are into details, or mechanics, or accountants, or people that work with their hands that are, they might be particular or critical, but those might give you some interesting feedback. And Scorpio, that's the kind of friends they might have, it doesn't have to be that kind exactly, but those are some general Virgo things that people that really care. Virgos care to point of too much, like I have a Virgo said, you could do too much for other people or care too much. You gotta have boundaries with that. But anyways, so now we're up to Aquarius. What should I be doing? So Pisces, we value that, again, using our visions instead of being fixed. It's like, I have the answer and blah, blah, blah. We'll fix society. Maybe tune in to meditation or view stuff, or take time, quiet time in a museum or a bath and contemplate, or connect with, some Pisces friends, or do some art, express yourself, do music, stuff like that. The trine for Aquarius is down to Gemini. So that's and again, it's really easy to talk to siblings, and then it's a fifth house. I'm kind of mixing them up here, but the fifth house relationship, so romantic stuff or children, creative stuff. And it's just spitfiring. The Gemini's talking about all kinds of stuff, multiple things. So the Aquarius might be too focused. So the trine is like, open up to more possibilities. And then Virgo is the inconjunct, but that's interesting because they're both very mental things. So it's like, maybe work on some of the details. The Virgo, it might not be fun. It's an eighth house relationship, might be a little emotionally straining, but it's like, there's probably other details that you can work on. And then the last one is the Sag, and Aquarians love Sag because they're all different and unique. And it's, have some fun with some Sag people or some, goals, have some fun, Aquarius, like, what are your goals? You want to pick and choose, but have fun, going through your assortment, because Aquarians have all kinds of ideas and stuff. So there's a quick thing of what the fixed signs would do, generally speaking. And like, again, all these, we have a T-square with Pisces, Virgo opposition, and then the T-square up with the Gemini. All that points to the Sag. So it's definitely, everybody look at their goals. And we do have all these retrograde, Mars, it's in Gemini. It's starting to slow down. It's at 14 now, and not till October 30th. So we're still like 6 weeks away. It's going to slow down to at 25. It'll station retrograde. So it's only going to go 11 more degrees over about 6 weeks, is it? Yeah, or maybe it's 5 weeks, but still, 30, 35 days or something to just go. So, and that's all going to keep working with the square to Neptune, because Neptune's at 24. Mars is going to square Neptune and then hit it again. And the sun, actually, so where the sun and Neptune, that's another reason I want to point this out. Another thing to keep track of astrology, if you're into that, is this opposition of the sun and Neptune at 24. Well, Mars is going to station at 25. So when it stations just a couple days before and a couple days after, or even a week, because it's really slow when it stations, it's going to reconnect with this point. So what's going on with you today, around October, the end of October and the very beginning of November, the week of either side of Halloween, basically, it's going to tie in with what's happening today with that square. And again, it plays out in the open sign of Sag. So again, that's very visual, and, maybe taking a trip or doing something Sag, which is experimenting with something that's foreign to you or different, or talk to, new people, new groups of people, or do some, pick a course in a book or a school course and get in some intense learning, try to tackle something that's new and interesting. Oh, I just thought of what I could do. Okay. So,
All right.
Yeah. Whew, was that enough?
That was
too
great.
much?
No, it's great. And I'm glad we'll have a replay, because I'm going to come back and listen to that where you
That was all my script. Oh yeah. Oh,
the Virgo.
my one unscripted scripted thing was so Neptune went retrograde June 28th, and then it goes direct December 4th. And today it's in the opposite, it's actually opposite the sun. So retrogrades have to do with our relationship with the sun and all the other planets. So right in the middle, that's where the opposition. So if you're curious, what's the date between June 28th and December 4th, you go, oh, it's today. It's September. Where is it? September. Oh yeah. Where are we on? September 16th. Yeah. So the opposition's today, or maybe it's tomorrow, 17th. So that's the middle point. That's when everything lines up as an opposition with the sun when it's retrograde.
Ah,
So it's the equal point between when it started stationing retrograde, and then we're halfway to its stationing direct and going back over where it did its stuff in the shadow. That was my big point. I don't know if that added
there
an
we go.
extra lesson to someone.
Well, it's interesting. I didn't think about the midpoint being
Yeah, and that's another
influence. And in a retrograde period, what's the midpoint? And that's kind of like the turning point.
Yeah, it's very strong. Yeah, and in the outer planets, I think it's I forget this, but the opposite, it's the opposite sign. The inner planets could be the inside, like Mercury's retrograde now. It's always close to the sun, anyways. But when it goes Kazami, I know, potato. Yeah, when it's right lined up exactly within 17 minutes, not degrees, it's really fortunate. But if it's up to 17 degrees on either side, then it's combusts. And there's different stories on that. Yeah, but
interesting for another day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a wrap up sign? We try to keep it focused, right?
As we round out our time today, we will. Are you exiting screen share?
Oh, please. Yes, ma'am.
So as we round out today,
yes.
Thank you, Shawn, for all this wonderful information to assimilate.
Overload. Everyone's overloaded.
We like to assimilate.
Yeah.
No, it's good. There was some good stuff. So I'm actually glad there's a replay to listen to. When we used to just be on the phone and having these conversations, I was trying to keep up, or I'd be interested, and then I'm like, what did that mean? And now it's great because there's a replay. I can go back and I can I can listen again to what you were saying and then work with it, which is awesome, without having to write it all down in this moment.
And you're too kind, thanks. So I try to make it interesting.
Well, it is interesting, but I mean, the bottom line also is whatever aspects are going on, we can basically, by focusing in our heart and pulling our energy back, right? If it's off worrying about the future, or if it's off worrying about the past, we need to pull that energy back into ourselves in this moment. And as we do that and breathe into our body and our being right now in this moment, whatever day it is, that we energize ourselves to navigate. It's sort of like acclimating, right? Acclimate to the energy and work with it.
Right.
And does that mean, yes, that in 2 hours we may have to acclimate again because aspects changed? Yes. But that's what life is. Everything's a constant motion and movement. So remembering to come back into our bodies, to come back to ground. So let's breathe in now. And this one's fun. And you can do it whether you're sitting down or standing.
Cool.
So, let's breathe. Take that breath into our heart. Filling your heart center and letting it go. You can let it go with sound if you'd like. Breathing in again when you're ready into your heart. Deep breath. And stretch your arms out. Reach them out. And stretch and release. And now, with our third magical breath, breathing into our hearts. Love, light, connection. Stretch the arms. Loosen your lower back. If you're standing, you could move your hips. And just again, say yes.
Yes.
Yes to life. Yes to the magic in this moment. And yes to all that you are here to do and create. And release.
Cool.
And you can do that whenever you need to. Just, you can breathe quickly, you can breathe slowly. The key is to just move into your heart. It's like upgrading the energy. If you think of a computer and the computer does updates, the different systems, we breathe into our heart, we create the space in that moment and just recalibrate love and light, bring in that love and light. We're recalibrating ourselves and then say yes, because, yes, I can. Sure, there are obstacles. Sure, there are blocks.
Right. But
But
it's
there is a
learning.
way.
Yeah. And it's all about learning and awareness. And another thing I point out in the circle, the chart in the center is where you are. So you have all the stuff around you. But again, you could be like, oh, looking around, going crazy. There's so much stuff. Or you could pick stuff that's you want to focus on and use those energies. And it's, the more calm, that's why they say meditation and calm, or if you study martial arts, it's like you're completely safe and empowered if you're focused and your mind's calm and things don't affect you to go haywire. And that's, what you've been teaching us too, the breaths and calming your body. And then you can deal with stuff, so don't
Right.
get fearful, just breathe and be love, Make
Right.
it easy.
And I've always, and I heard you say it, and I've said it, and I know I've written it in messages before to people, which is work the energy instead of being worked by it. And we do
be
that.
Proactive, instead of reactive.
Yeah, we do that by breathing and being present in our bodies and in our hearts and mind. The two key words I think I heard in the chart, and you just used one of them. Again, fun and focus.
That's fun. Right.
So remember focus and remember the fun.
Yeah, have some fun. Yeah.
And thank you everyone for joining us again for our magical Astro Talk, Astro Energy Talk. What's up today? We're here the third Friday of every month, and the last Tuesday of every month is the evening show. Third Friday, 11 a.m. Last Tuesday at 8 p.m. Those are both Pacific times. You can find us on Facebook, Shawn's Astrology, SHAWN. It's how you spell Shawn's Astrology. And Valorie, I'm at Topaz Visions on Facebook. And thank you again, those who are with us on the call and those who are listening in the replay. Remember, you're amazing. And remember, pistachio cake with lemon mascarpone frosting. Focus and fun. We're sending you all our love. Thank you.
Bye.